A very good
Start
up,
here.
a very good afternoon to all the participants who have come for this course. And today we will discuss about the key challenges regarding the sustainability, which is posed by the usage of energy and mineral resources. So, energy and the topic of today's discussion will be the energy and mineral resources related key challenges to sustainability. Okay. And before going for that, let's learn what is natural capital. As in business and economics, we have financial assets or the cash. Similarly, in nature, if we talk about the nature in economic perspective, there is a term called natural capital, which refers to the stock of various living and non-living components, which from which various benefits can be derived. Uh, they can be goods or they can be services, and these benefits they are for the human society and human well-being. So therefore they are referred to as the natural capital, which includes your energy resources, mineral resources, and also various other resources such as soil, forest, etc. So if we talk about how these resources they are generated, so basically we can see here that the solar energy is the prime source of energy which is driving the earth cycle, the various cycles which are present on the earth. And here we can say that air, water, soil, energy, minerals, they are all part of the natural capital. And through them we can derive various kinds of services, which include the nutrient recycling, climate control, pollution control, waste treatment, biodiversity, pest and disease control, etc. So, if we talk about sustainability has certain key components, and what are these key components? The natural capital, if we talk about, it can be divided into two parts. The natural resources, these are basically the goods which I initially talked about, and these are useful materials and energy in nature. And the second one are the natural services, which are important natural processes such as renewal of air, water, soil, etc. And as we all know that human imprint on the earth, it is basically increasing day by day. So the natural capital is also getting degraded by the human action. uh, and that's why if we have to ensure the scientific sustainability, we have to if we have to ensure the environmental sustainability, we have to ensure the scientific management of these resources. And also we have to find the solution which is to the problems which are related to the sustainability regarding the use of various natural resources. So let's learn what are the key challenges which are posed by the energy sector. We talk about the current scenario globally, we can see that 13% of the global population still lacks the access to the modern electricity. And 3 billion people, they still rely on wood, coal, charcoal, or animal waste for cooking and heating. So the, we are all talking about that the energy should be clean, and cleaner sources of energy must be employed. But still, if we see the global population, still they have a lack of clean energy, and even the electricity, and they rely still on the polluting energy sources such as wood, coal, and charcoal, or animal waste. And if we talk about, we all know that energy sector is contributing majorly towards emission of GHG, that is greenhouse gases, and they are responsible for the climate change. So burning of fossil fuels such as petroleum, coal, they result in emission of greenhouse gases, mainly your carbon dioxide. So 60% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions is because of the energy sector. And indoor air pollution is also resulting from the use of non-clean energy resources, and it is resulting in 4.3 million deaths. And especially the women folks, they are majorly affected because of this. And although if we talk about recently, from 2012 onwards, there is steady increase in the use of the renewable sources of energy, that is sunlight, your wind, and also geothermal energy, hydro energy, or hydel energy. Such renewable sources of energy, they are increasingly now being employed. And at present, 17.5% is their share in the total energy sector, and mostly it is contributed by the hydropower, wind, and solar energy. Next, we talk about the consumption pattern of the energy, which is really very concerning globally. If we look at this scenario, still the oil, the coal, and the natural gas, these three fossil fuels, they contribute maximum towards the energy, fulfilling the energy needs of the whole world. So, definitely, as we use more fossil fuels, we have the more energy repercussions which we face. And from 1970 onwards, you can see there is steep jump in the demand of energy, and that's why fossil fuels, they are increasingly being employed for the same purpose. Although we can see that there is also in steady increase in the renewable sector from 2000 and 2010 onwards, but still it is lagging behind. If we talk about the 2020 scenario, you can clearly see in this graph that still it is lagging behind from the non-fossil, the non-renewable sources of energy. Let's talk about the on the flip side. We have talked about the negative aspects of which is related to the energy sector. Let's talk about the positive points on that. If we see that wind and solar energy combined now generate 10% of the global electricity. So it, for the first time it has happened, although coal still is being used popularly for the production of electricity, but now if we see the current scenario, there is a 10% jump in the usage of wind and the solar energy, and combinedly they are contributing towards the production of electricity, and 10% global electricity is derived from them. And low carbon power sources, they are being popularized, and they combinedly, which include your solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, nuclear, and bioenergy, they contributed towards 38% of the world's electricity in 2021. And the cost of energy storage solutions such as lithium ion batteries are rapidly approaching cost competitiveness. As we see that cost competitiveness is majorly issue regarding the renewable energy sector, and most of the technology is not pocket friendly. So here we can see that lithium ion batteries and other solutions, they are approaching towards cost effectiveness. So they are now becoming more and more pocket friendly. So here is a graph that shows you that how total clean sources they have contributed in global electricity generation. So from this, you can clearly understand that the coal and gas, there is a dip in them, uh, and there is steady increase in the combined usage of the wind, solar energy, and the bioenergy, along with the hydro energy. So this graph clearly shows that how the various combinations they are employed for the renewable sector. If we talk about how they are contributing towards the global electricity generation. Now we talk about the negative fronts, and the latest IPCC assessment indicates that average annual GHG emissions between 2010 and 2019, they are becoming higher than any previous decade. So we are all are very much aware of this process, and emission reductions in carbon dioxide, they were insufficient to offset the increase from rising global activity in industry, energy supply, transport, agriculture, and buildings. So basically, the carbon dioxide is a major contributor towards the global warming, and they are the offsets of this carbon dioxide basically is proving insufficient, because there is rise in the global activity concerning the industries, energy supply, transport, agriculture, and the building sector. And next is the lack of requisite natural gas supply led to record increase in the use of coal in power generation. As we see that the war between the Ukraine and the Russia, it has basically drive the whole world community towards the enhanced use of the non-renewable sources of energy such as coal, because we can see that globally the oil prices, they are continuously increasing because of this war, and that's why people, they are switching over to other solutions, and more so they are looking forward towards the non-renewable sources of energy such as coal. So this has been reported in Europe that people now, they are naturally switching over to coal in power generation, because most of the supplies of the natural gas which is derived from the Russia, it has been affected because of the war between the Russia and the Ukraine. So here we can see the various environmental problems which are directly linked to the energy production. First one is the air pollution. As we know that when we burn the fossil fuels, it leads to production of large number of toxic gases which result in the air pollution. So air pollutants, if we talk about, we have the carbon monoxide, then we sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide. These gases, they directly affect our lung and the respiratory system, and they also cause severe air pollution, and also they lead to formation of secondary air pollutants, such as uh, sulfuric acid and nitric acid, along with the tropospheric ozone, so which are affecting the health of the people. And then we have the climate change. We as all know that the carbon dioxide basically is leading to the increase in the temperature globally, and it is resulting in the climate change. Then we have the water pollution. Specifically, we talk about in the water pollution front, the mining of these fossil fuels, they result in the water pollution. The thermal pollution, if we talk about, basically in that we know that from the thermal power plants, the hot water is directly released into the various water bodies, which result in the increase of the temperature of the water bodies. And here what happens is your dissolved oxygen which is present in the water is inversely proportional to the temperature of the water. More is the temperature of the water, less will be the dissolved oxygen in the water bodies, and that result in mass death of fishes. Their migratory pattern is affected, their reproduction pattern is all affected. So that leads to thermal pollution. And then we have the solid waste disposal. Basically, if we talk about the coal sector, it generates large amount of fly ash. The disposal of fly ash is equally challenging, and it is very much now the solution is there on the board, but fly ash still poses a big problem. Then we have the oil spills. We all know that the ship tankers, they basically are the major source of transportation of the oil from the OPEC countries. There are 19 OPEC countries, basically, which includes your Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, etc. And these are the major sources or major production producing countries of various uh, uh, for example, for petroleum. So the crude oil is basically produced by them. They basically mine them, and it is transported all over the world through the help of ship tankers. And these ship tankers might encounter any kind of accident, and due to that, an accidental leakage of oil is there into the surrounding marine environment, and that leads to oil spill. And oil and water, they are immiscible. Oil start floating on the surface of the water, and being black in color, the crude oil, it forms a very thin film over the surface of the marine water, which prevents the sunlight from entering into the seas, and that result in affecting the various kinds of food chain which is present on them. Even your large number of fishes, they are affected because of this. The oil get deposited in the gills of the fishes. Similarly, the marine mammals, the marine birds, they are equally affected because of the oil spills. So the whole environment basically, and large number of food chains, they are affected because of the oil spill phenomena. So here we can see uh, the destruction which is caused by the oil spills. That oil destroy the insulating ability of the fur of the mammals and impact the water repelling qualities of the bird's feathers. So as we know that birds, they carry out the preening process, and most of the marine birds, they have water repelling qualities which are present in their feather. If the oil once get deposited on them, definitely their water repelling qualities, they suffer because of this. Along with that, we can also see, because of the preening action caused by birds, some of this water which sorry, the oil which is deposited on the feathers of the bird, it enters accidentally into the bird's alimentary canal, and also result in the kidney failures or the liver malfunctions. The fur of the mammals, their insulating capabilities is also affected because of the oil spills. The dolphin and whales, their immune system and reproduction is affected because of this. And the fishes, if we talk about, there is fin erosion in large liver, along with reproductive failures, and oil getting deposited on the surface of the gills, through which fishes, they breathe. So definitely the fishes are also affected, and when they are consumed, even human beings are also affected because of that. So oil spills, they are causing major environmental destructions all over the world, and which is again related to your energy sector. So next we talk about the energy crisis, and through this diagram you will be very much clear about this, that what are the major causes of the energy crisis. Globally, we see that population is increasing, and more population is there, that means that manifests into more demand of energy, and that results in the energy crisis. Some countries or some areas, they are energy rich, and some places they are energy poor. So there is a unequal distribution of the electricity or energy. Then we have the poor infrastructure. We talk about like the supply chain. If we talk about uh, uh, the grid system, and the wires through which the electricity it is transmitted might not be sufficient, or it is not of good quality, and that results in the energy leakages. So that also results in energy crisis. Then the energy wastage, the wastage of energy at our homes and also through the grid systems. There is theft of energy that also results in energy crisis. Then power plant commissioning delays. There are delays in the commissioning of the power plants. Then we have the unused renewable options. We talk about more and more dependence on renewable energy, but still we are not able to tap them. So that also results in energy crisis. Then we have the poor distribution, major accidents, wars and attacks, as we can see in the Ukraine and Russia, politics, border obstructions, lack of storage. Some countries, they basically lack the storage capacity also, that results in energy crisis. And then we have the overconsumption. Some people, they are, or some part or some areas or some countries, they are consuming more energy as compared to other countries. That leads to overconsumption, more demand, and that slips the whole world into the energy crisis. So here we will talk about the world energy trilemma. This is very important. If we talk about this in the sustainability aspect, we have to ensure that mm, there is a balance between the energy security, energy equity, and environmental sustainability. So here we can see what are the measures which are related to energy security, energy equity, and environmental sustainability. And together they are composing the trilemma, which is associated with the world energy. In the next diagram, I will show you that how these things, they are interrelated with each other. Here we can see the measures. If we talk about the energy security, it is basically the ability to meet the current and the future energy demand and withstand and respond to system shocks. And basically it covers the effectiveness of management of domestic external energy sources and reliability and resilience of energy infrastructure. Next, we talk about the energy equity. As we have discussed in the previous slide, that the whole world, basically there is unequal distribution of the energy resources, and some people, they are over consuming energy, and some people, they don't have the basic access to energy. So energy equity we talk about is the ability to provide universal access to reliable, affordable, and abundant energy for domestic and commercial use. And basically it covers the basic access to the electricity, clean cooking fuels and technology, and access to prosperity enabling levels of energy and affordability. And the next is the environmental sustainability, and basically it measures the ability to mitigate and avoid environmental degradation and climate change, which is resulting from the usage, transportation of the energy sector. And basically it includes your productivity and efficiency of generation and transmission, distribution, decarbonization, and air quality. So next diagram, in this we can see that how this trilemma is basically resulting. And you can see that there's a triangle. At one point we have the energy security, and in the point we have environmental sustainability, and next we have the energy equity. So basically we have to balance the three of them to ensure the sustainability in the energy sector. So if we talk about the world scenario, uh, in the case of energy security, the world has secured 58 out of 100. That means if we talk about the world score of various nations which are performing on this energy trilemma index. So in energy security, the case, if we talk about the whole world scenario, we talk about the score of the various nations, it is 58 out of 100, and it reflects a nation's capacity to meet current and future energy demands reliably, withstand and bounce back swiftly from systemic shocks with the minimum disruption to supplies. If we talk about the world scenario here, the European countries, basically they are leading in energy securities. Countries such Baltic nations such as Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, they are doing they are performing fair in this trilemma index, World Energy Trilemma Index. If we talk about the energy equity, it is basically assess a country's ability to provide universal access to affordable, fairly priced, and abundant energy for domestic and commercial use, as we have discussed previously. So this diagram basically is giving us the score of the various nations on the scale of environmental sustainability, energy equity, and also energy security. Here we can see the global energy issues map, and it talks about the various problems which are related to the energy sector, and which majorly include the commodity prices. As we all know that commodity prices, especially of the crude oil, it is steeply rising, and that has pushed many countries into the brink of economic collapse. We have seen the case of Sri Lanka. We have also seen now even Bangladesh also in a few days back, it has reported a steep increase in the commodity price of petroleum. And even in India also, we can see the commodity prices, they are rising sharply. And it is because of the global scenario, the war scenario, they are playing a major role in that. The geopolitics is also playing a major role, and that is also a major global energy issue. If we talk about there is unequal distribution of energy resources, and China, your USA, Russia, and your OPEC countries, that means the Middle Eastern countries, They are the major suppliers. And if there is a scenario of war or conflict between these nations, obviously the supply of the energy is basically hit because of that. So that also plays a major role in fluctuation of energy pricing. And then we have the climate change management. The climate change management, we all know that energy sector is contributing majorly towards the climate change, and we have to efficiently manage that. And most of the countries, they are targeting for net zero targets to achieve the Paris Agreement. So that's why that is also being affected. The economic growth, if we talk about, that also suffers because of the increased price rise in the of the fuel. And the investor environment, cyber security risks are also there. If we talk about, uh, if some there is a cyber attack on some other country, the whole grid system might collapse. We have seen that in a few years back, there is a scenario in Mumbai where the whole grid has collapsed, and pushing many cities on Maharashtra into dark. And because of this is resulting of because of the cyber attack on the grids. So that is also a major concern. Then we have the market design and the regulation, the tax infrastructure, that is also affecting the energy sector. Then we have the support mechanisms, which include your subsidies which are given by the governments. Then we have innovative transport, electric storage innovation, future of work, cross-border trade, decentralized systems, urban design, demand pull, energy efficiency, digitization, land and water availability. These are all the major factors which are driving the uncertainty in the world energy sector. Then we talk about the SDG 77, that is basically Sustainable Development Goal 7, which talks about access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all. The major goals, if we talk about of this SDG 7, it talks about by 2030 ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services, increase substantially the share of renewable energy, double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency, enhance international cooperation to facilitate access to clean energy, and expand infrastructure and upgrade technology for supplying modern and sustainable energy services, especially for the developing countries. So these are the major the goals which are related to the SDG 7. In this diagram, you can see the global trends in renewable energy investment globally. So here you can see that China remains at the top of the investment, the country which is majorly investing in the renewable energy sector. And it is followed by the European countries combined, basically, and it stands at around $698 billion. And then we have the United States, followed by Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, and basically next to it is India, Italy, and Brazil. So basically, this diagrams give you an overall picture in global trends in renewable energy investment. Mind you, this is the data of 2019. Next, we talk about the extractive industries. If we talk about what the terminology extractive industries is basically referred to as the non-renewable resources industries, such as the industries which are related to oil, gas, and minerals. And there are basically six main drivers or conflicts which are associated with these extractive industries, which are overall impacting the environmental sustainability. First one is the poor engagement of communities and stakeholders. Uh, in this, basically, we talk about that the communities and stakeholders which are located in the vicinity of mines and those areas from which the oil, gas, and minerals they are extracted, they are not particularly involved or they are employed in extracting oil, gas, and minerals, and that basically leads to the conflict. Next is the inadequate benefit sharing. The people which are involved in the oil, gas, and mineral exploration and the mining, they are not given the adequate benefits. And also the surrounding communities, they are not involved in decision making and also in the employment, that leads to the basically inadequate benefit sharing. Then we have the excessive impact on the economy, society, and the environment. The mining of the oil, gas, and minerals, also the transportation and the usage is not only impacting the economy, it is also impacting the society and the environment. Then there are mismanagement of funds and financing wars. We all know that there is a lot of corruption which is involved in it. And also there are petrodollars which are pumped into financing the wars. And then we have the inadequate institutional and legal framework to ensure that the energy to streamline the sustainability aspect of energy sector. And along with that, we have the unwillingness to address the natural resources question in peace agreements. There are various agreements which are occurring globally, internationally, but natural resources, how they must be used sustainably, most of the governments, they are unwilling to address this problem. So these are various conflicts which are related to the extractive industries, if we talk about. Then we switch over to the mining sector scenario. Previously, we talked about the energy sector, how it is impacting the sustainability, how the energy issues, they are impacting the overall sustainability. Now we will talk about how the mining sector, it is faring in this thing. Mining basically is very important for the economics of any country or any nation. In current context, if we talk about the more mineral wealth if any country has, more we think that that country is developed. So for running the industries, for running the market, the minerals, they are, and metals, they are very much essential. So our whole modern life is basically associated with that. In 20th century, the extraction of construction minerals grew by a factor of 34, while that of ores and industrial minerals, they are enhanced by the factor of 27. And obviously now, because of the increase of the world population, there is significant demand of these minerals and metals. And definitely the mining sector, it is basically growing at a very rapid pace, mind you. If we talk about the major constraints in sustainability in the mining sector, there is increased demand of mine resources. And at the same time, uh, you know, the mining activity is very detrimental for the environment. It needs energy, it needs water, and at the same time, it contributes towards the pollution during its extraction and usage process. So that is also perturbing the sustainability at the global level. And here we can say the main environmental impacts of the mining. You can see in that the first one is the air emissions. If we mine various kinds of metals and even your fossil fuels, large number of dust, particulate matter is generated, along with the fires, the recurrent mine fires, which are associated, especially in the mining of coal. So that results in various kinds of pollutants released in the air, contaminating the air, resulting in the air pollution. Then we have the metal contamination of the groundwater and also the surface water resources. What happens is that the mine tailings or the debris which is discarded after the mining operations they are conducted, the mine tailings, they basically contain large number of heavy metals, and also with them the radioactive material can also be there. When in the case of rainfall or heavy rains, these heavy metals along with the radioactive isotopes, they get dissolved in the rainwater, and when the rainwater infiltrates into the ground, uh, these heavy metals, they also reach inside the ground and they pollute the groundwater. Similarly, the metals uh, with the surface runoff, they also contributes towards the water pollution of the surface water bodies. Then the physical impacts, if we talk about, to carry out the mining operation, uh, land defacement must be done. If there are forests which are there, the forest must be removed. The deforestation activity is carried out. Then the whole area is blasted using dynamites or other kind of explosives. And the whole area, it looks not very pleasing. So the land, it gets defaced. And basically the land degradation occurs in that particular place. Along with that, we have acid drainage. There are large number of sulfide compounds which are associated or find in the mines, and during the mining process, these sulfide containing compounds, they get dissolved in the rainwater, and sulfuric acid is basically generated. Along with that, cyanide is also used. If we talk about cyanide, they are used in extractive processes of various metals, and sometimes when they are used in during the episodes of rainfall, they get dissolved in the rainwater and also pollute the surface and the groundwater. So here we talk about the impacts of mining during its various stages. As we know that there are majorly four stages which are involved in mining. First is the mineral exploration, second is mine development, third one is mine operations, and fourth one is the mine closure. And at all stages, basically the environment is impacted. If we talk about my mineral exploration, during that phase, limited but escalating impact as exploration progresses. Sometimes we use various kinds of machines, and although very limited impact of environment is observed, but still it has some impact on environment. Then we have the mine development. During that stage, that during the mining construction or mining, we remove the vegetation, deforestation is occurring, and at that stage, the major impact on environment and social fabric is observed during this stage. Then during mine operations, major environmental social impacts can be seen, and uh, during this stage also demand for jobs, goods and services, it basically increases. If we talk about the social sector, the demand for jobs, goods and services, they basically increases at this point of mining procedure. And during the mine closure, if we talk about in that process, sometimes the mines, they are abandoned, and that abandoned mines, they are equally challenging for the environment. So in today's context, uh, restoration of mining sites, they are being carried out all over the country. But if we talk about few decades back, at that point of time, the mines at the time of closure, they are discarded, and these discarded mine sites, they are lasting, they have in lasting environmental legacies and social dislocations, because there is loss of job and physical revenues for the surrounding communities which are involved in the mining process. Then there is another process which is involved in mining, and that is leaching. And in the leaching process, the ores or mineral waste, mining waste, they are treated with various chemical reagents or compounds to extract the useful ore. If we talk about especially gold, cyanide compounds, they are used for extraction of gold from the mining waste or mining debris. Okay. In situ leach mining involves applying chemical solution. Now we talk about the various kinds of leaching operations which are carried out. In situ leaching mining involves application of chemical solution to the host deposit, and these chemicals, they are contributing majorly towards the surface and the groundwater pollution. Then we have the heap leaching, and in heap leaching, the chemical solutions, they are uh, applied on the heap of the mine debris, and basically these heaps, they are placed on the lined surface, so that the chemicals which are used doesn't penetrate in the ground or pollute the groundwater. Then we have the dump leaching. It is very similar to the heap leaching process, and in that the mining waste is basically reprocessed, uh, and so that to ensure the various metal scraps or residual metals which are present in it can be extracted. So basically it is a reprocessing technique, and the environmental impacts are reduced in this case. In advanced processes of leaching, we have bio-leaching technique. In this bio-leaching technique, bacteria is basically used for extracting the minerals from the mining debris. Then this diagram basically talk about the global impact of material usage, and we can see that the global extraction of materials, including your metals, it has tripled from the 1970, and per capita material demand is also growing, and it is expected that by year 2060 190 billion tons of materials will be extracted from the earth globally, and definitely that will be severely impacting the sustainability aspect. If we talk about how the mining and extraction of various materials and their demand, it is impacting the environment, then we can see that 90% of the global biodiversity loss is because of these. There is 90% of the water stress, and 50%, more than 50% of the global greenhouse emission gas emission is because of this. So basically, we are moving towards an unsustainable scenario. The way we are extracting the various materials from the earth, and the per capita demand of the material, it is growing. So we are impacting the earth majorly and our environment majorly, which needs to be corrected as soon as possible. So how this can be assured? The first process is to address the environmental, economic, health, and social impacts and benefits of mining throughout their life cycle, including workers, health, and safety. So basically, in that, we have to ensure that the social aspects and also the economic aspects, that maximum benefit sharing must be ensured with the workers, and their health and safety must be ensured at the same time. And participation of the stakeholders, which includes the local communities, the women folks, must be enhanced so that there is equal sharing of benefits for the local communities. And at the same time, there is a need to foster sustainable mining practices, and especially the developed countries has to provide the technology and financial resourcing and capacity building to the developing countries, so that they can carry out the sustainable mining practices. Then we have the various international standards which have been laid down to ensure international responsible mining. And in this, there are, I like to mention few of them. First one is the Initiative for Responsible Mining Assurance. It has been adopted in 2014 and revised in 2016, and it applies to all kind of industrial mines, and it also includes the social and environmental aspects. Then we have the Better Coal Code, and it has been set by 2012 by the European countries, and it covers the aspects which are related to coal mining. Then we have the Responsible Jewelry Council, uh, that is basically adopted in 2009, and it is applicable for the jewelry extraction, the jewel extraction or mining, and the jewelry value chain that includes your precious jewels such as diamond, gold, and other metals such as platinum. Here is some of the solution through which we can ensure the decoupling, energy, resource efficiency, and circular economy. So decoupling basically refers to the natural resource use and environmental impacts must be separated from the economic activity and human well-being. So basically we have to separate them from the environmental impacts from the economic activity. That is basically referred to as the decoupling. And next is the resource efficiency. We have to ensure that resource efficiency must be ensured, and that can be achieved if the target which is set by 2060, that can be achieved by reducing the resource usage by 25%, then bringing down the GHG emission by 90% and increase economic activity 8%. So this diagram basically shows you that how circular economy, resource efficiency, and decoupling can be achieved. And next is the uh, how step by step in the mining sector, during the various processes of mining, we can reduce the environmental impact and also the social and economic impact. So if we talk about in the mineral exploration stage, the community engagement must be ensured, and along with that the preliminary baseline data that how environment is impacted because of the mining activity must be accumulated, so that we can basically identify the then we have the mine development. During the mine development stage, mine planning and design with environmental and social considerations must be ensured. And at the same time, mine construction must be done in such a way that future land use scenario must be taken into account. At the same time, mine closure plan must be submitted before in hand, that how mine closure plan must be implemented. And at the same time, negotiation and payment of financial insurance must be there. If we talk about during the mine operation stage, at this stage baseline data and mine closure performance indicators must be checked and must be evaluated, and soil characterization and management which is mindful of reclamation and rehabilitation process must be ensured. At the same time, testing mine closure options is it should be also carried out. And during the mine closure stage, commissioning, reclamation, and rehabilitation process must be carried out. Mind you, in India at present, ecological restoration of mines is also being carried out in some parts of our country, where some kind of grasses which can absorb the heavy metals which are present in the abandoned mine sites, they are grown at that place, and some trees which can basically survive the toxic soils which are present at the mining sites, they are also being employed, the native trees, the native vegetation, for the ecological restoration of the mining sites. It's being carried out in some parts of the country, especially in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Odisha. So this process must be basically amalgamated and must be considered the ecological restoration of the mining site during the mine closure operations. And with this, I come to the end of today's session, and these are basically the references through which I have taken the content. And thank you so much. And whatever your questions will be, I will be pleased to answer all your queries. So you can ask me any kind of questions which are related to this subject. Can you please go back to